Greetings to the MPH community. This is Dave McCusker talking to you with a number of friends here. And A number of people have asked about and have been curious about the work that's happening at the historic Knox Farmhouse. And we're making a significant commitment to improving that facility, doing some major renovation work. And I wanted to at least provide this community with some sense of where we are today, how we got here, and I think most especially ask people who are working directly on the project to share their insights, challenges, opportunities, successes perhaps at this early stage, simply as a way to provide an update to the community. We're going to find some opportunities later on to keep you apprised of how things are going. But for now, I'd like to make some introductions. I'll start with the principal of the firm that we hired to do this work, and that would be Courtney Wilson. You're going to hear from Courtney a little later. He's got tremendous experience, and we feel really, really pleased and fortunate to be working with his firm. As part of his team, we've got Charles Helmer, who's the project superintendent, and Zach Badger, who's the project manager. I'll also introduce, and you'll hear from a gentleman named Leland Koehler Rice, who has been working with MPH for some time now, initially hired to help us with a campus master plan. And Leland's been instrumental on this project, doing most of, if not all of the design work, and you'll hear his perspective. And then we've got some in-house talent, and specifically in this regard, many of you know Mike Longden. Mike's been at MPH for a long time. I think we all know how fortunate we are to have a guy of Mike's caliber on this team, taking good care of our buildings and grounds and our campus, and Mike's going to offer some insights as well. So as we get started, I think what I'd like to do very briefly, it'll be a thumbnail sketch here, is just to provide a little bit of context for this project and how it fits into some larger planning for the school. And what I would say is that for many years, MPH has been hard at work, really looking at strengths and weaknesses and developing some strategic priorities for our school as we look ahead. I'm coming off of a board meeting last week where we spent a lot of time talking about what we're calling sort of emerging and important strategic priorities. So this is sort of the big picture, all things considered. And we've got 6 priorities that we're identifying. I'll just read the short descriptor of what those are, and then we'll get laser focused on this project and how it fits in. But the context for some good MPH planning as we are thinking about priorities for our school going forward, we're going to pay attention to the area of curriculum and program development. We're going to pay attention to leadership and faculty excellence. Student access and family support is going to be a priority for us. Financial sustainability is a big consideration, and we're going to make that a priority for our school. We also have a priority that we're calling MPH in the marketplace, which is essentially telling the MPH story. Who are we? What does this education and experience involve and include, and really doing maybe a little bit better job at getting the message out about MPH. And then finally, and I left this one to as the last one I wanted to mention, although I would say it's not 6th in terms of the hierarchy of these priorities, but the last bit is campus and facilities improvements. And we have a terrific campus here. We've got a number of structures on the campus that are at different ages and different stages of life. And as I mentioned before, we hired Leland Koehler Rice, a person who's had a lot of experience working with independent schools, helping schools look at, and in this case, what we refer to as campus master planning. And so there's context of campus master planning related to this project. And I want to ask Leland to say hello, maybe to share a brief introduction and how he got started working with MPH and what his role specifically has been with this project. So go ahead, Leland.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. It's nice to be a part of this and to share a perspective on the campus master plan and specifically the farmhouse project. In early 2020, we began the campus master plan looking at existing facilities and space needs, having several meetings and with the MPH community. And we discovered that we needed to make some adjustments to the spaces and the program. And as we were getting to the end of that process, the pandemic took a strong hold, and we and MPH decided to pursue a slightly different path to address more immediate needs that were connected directly with the school reopening and the pandemic in that context. Parallel with the campus master plan, and starting at day one, we've talked about the possibilities for establishing a new admissions and welcoming center at MPH, with a focus on the farmhouse as a place to not only celebrate the iconic building on campus, but also to address a lot of the facilities needs, the physical and building systems needs. And so throughout a quite extensive process of designing and working with the town, we came to a design and an approach for a design, and we've been working in conjunction with CBD to see this through in the vision of MPH.
Okay, there's the classic Zoom moment where you forget to unmute yourself. Leland, thank you for sharing that, and thank you too for your partnership on a range of different projects, as you said, that emerged over the last 18 months or so, and just grateful for all of that. Speaking of being grateful for finding real talent in the community, I want to introduce again Courtney Wilson, who's been he's been a longtime resident of this area, has got an established firm that has developed an excellent reputation in the area. And, this is a peculiar project for us. Not every firm is going to want to look at a, 150-year plus renovation project. I think we found just exactly the right firm and the right team for this. And so, Courtney, thank you in advance of what you're going to say, and thank you for all the good work that you've done. Would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are, your firm, and what this project is, how it's unfolding for you?
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this team. This is a huge and exciting project for not only your campus, but I think the community too. It's not every day that anybody is willing to take on this sort of project and save a building of this age. And it is exciting. It's challenging. There's a lot of ups and downs our team is experiencing, but I think overall we're having a lot of fun with it. And that's kind of been the focus is keeping things on track, but also having fun. And I think I've said that in meetings with you, Dave, and I think it's important with this one for sure. So CBD Companies is a multifaceted real estate company here in central New York, based out of Syracuse. We are heavy in construction, property management, and also real estate advisory services. My role with the company is, along with the team, is on the construction side. And we love doing redevelopment projects, renovations, and new builds as well. And we've been around just over 16 years, and we've got a talented team with Zach and Charles. Both are doing an outstanding job, and I think we're all lucky to be together and partnered on this project.
Well, I hear you on that. Thanks, Courtney. So let's get into kind of where the project is and what we've experienced over the last few months. My experience with these sorts of things is literally through my experience working with schools, and I'm obviously not on site day to day, but stay updated through the process. And a big part of the early part of a process like this is a discovery phase. Okay, we want to get a sense of what are we looking at here to what are we going to need to tackle. And there's sort of an initial phase, and then there's when you actually start bringing people in and getting beneath the surface, and you discover even more issues, perhaps. So, Charles or Zach, you guys, it'd be great for you to share. Why don't you talk a little bit about what we thought we were going to experience in the discovery phase, and then what we actually experienced and what that's been like. All right, who wants to go first?
Charles, take it away.
Yeah. So initially, I think we all had a game plan of what this project was going to be, and Leland provided us with great plans to move forward. As we demoed and went through the building, we knew we would run into rot in certain places and things that needed to be fixed, windows, doors, prepping for porches. Well, the plan wasn't to demo the building as far as we did, but as we started to peel back the layers of this building, we noticed there were some big structural issues inside of the building, specifically this bay window. There's some photos in here further down that just show that the underneath of the building was completely rotted away, so completely unsupported, and we just couldn't leave it that way. So we had to go in and dig a little deeper to fix these issues. Another big one, which I'm sure the community has seen, is the east wing. We had it up on steel and on stilts, and we had to completely eliminate part of the first floor and start from the foundation and work our way up and re-support the second floor, which was a big undertaking, but we're finally through some of the things that we didn't foresee and starting to move forward and get on the original track of what the plan was. So
yes. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, I guess with any kind of project like this, there are going to be surprises along the way. And I may not be exactly right on this, but I believe the Knox Farmhouse is certainly one of, if not the oldest home at one point, and we use it for different purposes, but it's an historic building for MPH and for the town of DeWitt, who we had to work closely with, and they were very interested to know what our plans were, and doing as much as we can to not just sort of honor this historic and iconic building, but to in some ways bring it back to the original look and feel, and that's been kind of fun. It's been a lot of fun to be thinking about. So thank you again, Charles. Some unforeseen surprises. We've made some adjustments. Of course, during the pandemic, there are supply line issues and timing issues that are related that can be a little frustrating. I think this team has worked really well to get through some of those. And I'd love to, again, maybe it's Zach now. I'd love to hear what we're focusing on right now, kind of where we are with the project right now, and what folks might anticipate seeing in the next couple of weeks.
Sure. So right now we are finally out of that discovery phase and making any necessary repairs to the things that we did discover. So right now the focus is to actually start building. If you drive by today, you'll see that the exterior is pretty much framed and sheathed. We've dug for the new porch and ramp footers. They're starting to lay the block for that today. Within a week, you'll see that up out of the ground and the new covered porch start being framed. Some big things to see in the future. A couple weeks down the line, we're going to have new windows getting installed. We'll have Tyvek home wrap on the building. Siding will begin to be installed. And then on the interior, we're right at it right now with our mechanical contractors. New ductwork is being run, new electrical getting run through all the walls. We'll have new fire sprinkler service coming in through the basement to protect the building. So we've got a lot going on, and our team of subcontractors has responded well. They've been really flexible, understanding some of the issues that we've run into, and quickly responding and getting back on site and getting right to work.
Right. Thanks, Zach. One of the considerations for us is how do we address deferred maintenance items? How does that translate into dollars and cents for the school? And I'm going to ask Mike Longden to. I'm going to set you up, Mike, with a question to think about or a point to address here. But as I think about this considerable campus and all of the facilities needs that we're looking at, I will say that the farmhouse for MPH continues to be a really important space. We use it. We've got, as Leland mentioned, we've got plans to bring our admissions department there. The development team has been over there. It will return. We've got communications that we're looking at. There are a number of folks who are using that building as administrative spaces. So it's a building that is in high use. We're being resourceful now because a lot of people are displaced, but we realize that's for just for a short period of time in the grand scheme of things. So we're figuring that out. But there's also this intersection of kind of maintenance, and for an older building where some issues bubble up, a lot of times the maintenance and the sort of fix tends to be a little short term. And when you begin to accumulate that kind of thing, it eventually turns into, in some cases, some significant structural issues. There's certainly a financial piece. Mike, I would love for you, as our in-house sort of expert on this, maybe talk a little bit about working with this team, and also maybe sharing some of your experience about the way in which you and your guys have had to, really kind of manage the maintenance of the farmhouse, some costs related or what have you, what that's been like.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave. So to start off, I want to give a big shout out to CBD. We couldn't have a better team on site restoring this project. I mean, it's easier to start with new construction, knock something down and build it up. We're taking a building that's almost 200 years old and restoring it to its former glory. Adding on a wraparound porch, keeping the cupola there, some of the original moldings and handwork. So it's really amazing and exciting, I think, to see this, transition to take place, especially step by step. We're really involved into the weekly stuff and looking into the buildings and seeing the progress take way. As working on it as a maintenance standpoint, a building is 200 years old. We have old heating systems, old electrical, things that can come up, and you say, how do I address this without replacing everything new? So we've had to make our way and do some things just to fix for the minor purpose there. But I think as Zach mentioned here, the highlights of this for a maintenance standpoint, upgrading all this HVAC, upgrading electrical, adding a fire sprinkler system in, which I'm sure that the town of DeWitt Fire Department is ecstatic by. I think it's a proud moment overall for MPH just to be able to say that we're restoring this building and keeping it up to that. Preventative maintenance is really key. And on a newer building, it's not too hard to manage. You just have to make sure you're keeping a good schedule with the roofing replacements and the odds and ends. But this building was in a tremendous need of a facelift. And I think right now, some of the pictures explain the rotting over 200 years. I mean, you take a home now, years from now, it probably wouldn't be in that same condition as the farmhouse has in 200 years. So older construction, and when they erected that building, I mean, they really did a very nice job. And like I said, with the CBD company, they have taken the pride into this project and continue to, I think, push through and discover these unknowns and not let it impact our completion dates or material scheduling. With the COVID-19 pandemic taking place, a lot of things were put on back order. You're talking your standard lead times 4 to 6 weeks now to 12 months. So we've worked through that and continue every day to keep this project going and getting to be on time.
Thanks, Mike. We're lucky to have you representing us on this project. I want to hear a couple, because I've had there've been a couple of sort of humorous moments that have been shared with me, humorous in that kind of head scratching type of humorous moments. And Leland, maybe you could identify one or two of those. I mean, I'm thinking about, we were over there yesterday, and Charles was pointing out that a couple of the windows the bay windows.
Bay
When
window.
we sort of got behind the walls, we were realizing there's nothing holding these things up. Or what were some of those kind of when you got into it, you realized, oh my God, what's going on here? And then I'd love for the CBD team to talk a little bit about, okay, how are we addressing those things, and what we needed to do.
Yeah, I think it is in terms of the head scratching moments, because we have had experience working with older buildings, and some of them tend to have the same kind of issues, similar issues because of the construction methods. Others seem to be very unique. And I would say the discovery along the bay window, when I was on site and they exposed not only pulling the windows out, but all of the framing, and seeing that there were literally components not attached and just floating in midair was, I think that was probably one of the most noteworthy, I would say, of the head scratching moments. And I want to just echo for a moment Mike's sentiments on the resiliency, I would say, of the team in CBD to address these very difficult, not only having to take on something like that, but then also to be able to coordinate it and make it happen. So yeah, I tip my hat off to them for that resiliency. I think there's also some things that before we started the demolition were really interesting, and that was sort of the discovery of all the stuff that was in the farmhouse. And I remember the effort that MPH made to go through all of that and some of the artifacts and things. And I would say, from my view, although it wasn't really construction related, that was a very interesting moment on the project.
Yeah. Well, I'll comment quickly on that. I think we brought Maureen Anderson back to help us sort through a lot of what had been, I'll generously say, stored in the farmhouse. And she was really helpful to us in identifying, okay, here are some things that they are of real historic and maybe some modest financial value. But otherwise, I think we had 2 full dumpsters filled with stuff that just was old and really hadn't been treated the right way. Courtney, Charles, and Zach, tell us a couple of the sort of highlight interesting moments on this job for you. The floating bay windows, that's certainly a curiosity. I don't know how that happens actually, but what are the other anecdotes you could share?
Charles, do you want to handle that?
I would say probably the most interesting one overall is suspending the second floor off on steel, and having a great team of carpenters to help with that has been great. Not every day do you get a 200-year-old building that you get to mold into something like this.
Mm.
So,
yeah.
I thought the condition of the kitchen roof was pretty interesting. The framing and the fact that this addition is that it's actually in more recent years, and the way it was cobbled together over time. You have this beautiful foundation, right? The thing that usually goes bad that we're trying to fix on other parts of the building. Had this gorgeous foundation, and everything on top of it was butchered. And then there was a secondary roof put on top of that roof. I mean, it was very interesting. And I think everybody was relieved when we finally made the decision to just crush it and take it down and build it back new. So,
right. Yeah.
But I agree. I think the bay window is the biggest mystery of all this. And what's interesting about that, we met with our window installing contractor / consultant this morning. And originally we had discussed putting new windows, almost remodel windows, in those openings. And thank goodness we did not do that, because we would have never torn all these outside walls apart and seen all this stuff. And I mean, Leland and I personally spent probably half a dozen days on that particular subject. And I just laughed this morning. I'm like, thank God that somebody took us down a different path, because I don't know how the building was even supported in those areas. It was crazy.
Amazing. How about you, Zach? Anything for the highlight reel thus far?
For me, it'd be just the effects of water damage over the time that the building's been there. It's pretty amazing, you know, anywhere where we had a persistent leak or the water wasn't shedding away from the building in the right manner, that's really what led to a lot of these issues. We've had to replace a bunch of beams up on the second floor that, you know, where the gutter has been leaking. And those were pretty much just dust. And then the main repair that we've been working on, the sill beam on the east end, that was gone, primarily due to damage from water. So it's just amazing what water can do just over time. And you know, it's a good reminder that it's important to get that water to the right place. And I think we're going to be doing that when this is all said and done.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to do these kinds of updates in sort of manageable bite-size segments. So we're not going to try to do everything at once. I will say, because I think this is going to be an idea we'll be able to do. I think there was at least an initial kind of understanding and receptivity to it. We're going to look to see if we can do a couple of, you know, maybe offer some walkthroughs. And we're looking at Friday, November 12th as a possibility. And that won't be the only time we perhaps do that. I think we're going to be able to find some other moments. And by that time, too, I mean, there's been significant progress made. And given another couple of weeks, I think people will be really interested in those walkthrough experiences. So stay tuned for some information about that. And otherwise, anything else that anyone feels like, hey, you know, we really should just include this bit in this segment because it was a big part of what we've experienced thus far. And if not, if we've covered it all, so be it. But is there anything that you feel like we should add just as another point of information here?
I have one thing. It's really interesting, given the location of the building and people driving by. There is a, you know, I think outside of your campus community, there is a large buzz in the community because I get blow up text messages, phone calls. People are constantly calling saying, wow, this is great. You know, so I give the school, the administration and the entire team a lot of credit for going forward with this because people are really excited about it outside just your property lines.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you all, each and all, for what you're doing to bring this historic building back to life, as we say. And we'll do probably at least another one of these. And you know, just some check in. I want to make sure this community has been kept apprised of the progress made. So thank you, each and all.
Thank you.